Couple little housekeeping things and some notes. But before we actually get started, we'll have a word of prayer and pledge of allegiance and get us started off on the proper foot that way. And I'd like to ask our pastor here that's visiting with us from, you live in Carrington area?
No, we live on Annie Lee Road.
On Annie Lee Road.
100 yards from.
So you're a local pastor. Have I given you a card yet?
Yeah.
Pastor Harp,
Yes.
and if you would lead us in a word of prayer. Y'all stand with me, please.
Let's bow. Our Father in heaven, we're so thankful for this new day, and specifically that we're all here with this meeting that has come to fruition. And Father, we're so thankful for the St. Clair County Commission that has invited us and made this a public meeting. And I just pray that you'll be with them. And Father, as we've already been praying for them and praying for our senators and of all our representatives that have been working to get us to this point. Father, it's been the silence that has been challenging for us, but being able to have this communication, it is such a breath of fresh air, and we're thankful for that. For this moment, I just pray that you'll be with our chairman, be with our representatives, help them to seek the resolutions that will help us to get this fire out. And we just pray your will be done, and it's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you would address the flag, and Commissioner Ricky Parker, one of our veterans, will lead us in the pledge.
Attention, salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you may be seated, and we're a little different from other folks. If your cell phone is on, leave it on. We don't care. If it rings and you've just got to answer it and talk to people, if you go outside, would be nice, because we don't really care about what your grocery list is or anything like that. But otherwise, we're not too sensitive about things happening during the meeting, and so don't be embarrassed if something happens and you've forgotten that. Also, I want to point out that this is an emergency called meeting of the St. Clair County Commission, and that takes on some legal things. It's taken a while to get to this point. We can call an emergency meeting, but we have to call it for an emergency, and there are some things we have a hard time having the authority to call an emergency. So we've worked through that process. We've gotten that fleshed out. We can declare this situation locally as an emergency. So our county attorney, James Hill, has worked through that process. So we're on legal standing there. St. Clair County is a county of 100,000 people, and we're so proud to represent that 100,000 people the best way we can. We know that y'all have been suffering, and other than going over there and suffering with you, which I've been over there a few times myself, and in fact, I got caught over there by the operator, who was really nice. He was a little concerned that I was out on his property early on because I didn't have permission to be there, and I was looking around, and I said, well, he said, what are y'all doing? What are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm looking for evidence to see if this thing is burning car tires and stuff, you know. And he said, well, you know, it's dangerous out here. And so he had called the policeman because he didn't know who I was. And the policeman said, you know, well, we may have to arrest you for trespassing. And we've got some of our deputies here, and they know me well because I'm a retired game warden. I said, well, you know what? Y'all go ahead and arrest me, because I get a lot more attention if I'm standing on the steps at the jail than if I'm standing out here in a burning landfill. So if y'all want to do that, we'll go that route. But, and then the owner said, or the operator said, no. He said, that's not what I mean. You're welcome here. Now, this is the operator of the landfill that's in the middle of this. You're welcome here anytime. I just wish you'd let me know, because it could be dangerous here. So I appreciated that access, and from that time on, I've had access as the chairman of the county commission to walk around and look. I don't know much about it, but we're trying to get the specialist up here from the state, and we still got that process to go through. But I just wanted you to know that I got sworn into office on November the 16th, and this is one of the first things. This is not my first time being here, though. I was on the commission for 24 years before, chairman for 16. We had a grease pit that they somehow or another they dumped grease out in the woods on a 40-acre tract that stunk up a neighborhood. That took a while to remediate. We've had some fires that were questionable about whose responsibility they are and who's going to clean them up, that sort of thing. So this is always a process. It's a difficult process, and I apologize to you as being a member of an elected body all these years that our government is so full of bureaucracy and red tape. I just apologize. That's something that holds us up when we really need to act quickly. And we haven't figured out a way to get through that. Now, it's good on things where we've got time, but if it's something we need to move on, we have some problems. I want to recognize, first of all, Senator Lance Bell. Lance, if you'll hold your hand up. If you need any money for anything, he's the man to go to. And you talk about being baptized by fire. He actually only takes office. What, are you there yet? Okay, he is in office now, but he sort of like me. This is his first term in an elected office, but it's not his first term as a new person knowing what to do. He's a well-known attorney in this town. Don't get mad. We got preachers and attorneys in the room at the same time. But you got Lance is also one of our former assistant district attorneys. So he's been on the prosecuting end of things that are against the law. So he knows that end of things. And he's just a good communicator. So Lance hit the ground running, and we're so proud to have you as one of our senators. And we've got a great delegation in Montgomery that respond to us. The area over there is in Representative Jim Hill's area. And he's been very responsive. So I just want you to know we've been working, and we're going to keep working until this is resolved, and hopefully it'll be resolved quickly. I understand that part of our job is to take the heat. I know it's a burning landfill, but that's part of our job is to take the heat, and we're going to do that. But we're also going to find a solution, and hopefully we're moving that way today. In a few minutes, let me tell you some people that are here. We've got Mayor Choate from Trustful's back there. I don't know where y'all want me to tell y'all's name. Y'all don't raise your hand unless you want people to ask you questions. Commissioner Joe Knight is here from Jefferson County, and Joe's been very cooperative. You know, they have a lot larger organization than we do in Jefferson County, and he's offered the expertise of his engineering staff, who have already done this before. They've put out several landfill fires, and so our engineer is working with his engineers. So we're well prepared to address this issue once we cross these burdens today of being legitimate to spend public money on private land and start that process. We got Mayor Betty Bradley back here from Argo, Alabama, a very growing community, and some of y'all live in that community. Councilman Matt Tortorici back here there he is, from the Margaret area. And y'all notice we got Argo and Margaret sitting next to one another, and that's you ought to get in some hot meetings when you go over there and you try to name that double community and combine it and call it Margo or something like that. So y'all had y'all's work cut out for you too. The mayor of Vestavia is here, as I understand it. Mayor Pro Tem of Vestavia. Well, that's even better. The mayor cuts ribbons, you get things done. So there you go. Mayor of Liberty Park is here, I think. Did I hear that? Oh, is that right? Okay, great. And we have our revenue commissioner, Ken Crow, back here in the back of the room. And I always get in trouble when I start introducing the elected officials. This guy standing over here in the checkered shirt that looks like an engineer because he's got his pen in his pocket, that's our county engineer. And his assistant engineer sitting back here with a pen in his pocket. And so they try to look like engineers. They're really good engineers, and they're very experienced. And they've, like I say, they've already been in touch with entities that fix burning landfills all over this country. This happens a lot of places, and it negatively impacts a lot of people. Sometimes it doesn't hardly impact anybody because it's out in a, way out wherever, and where hopefully these things would rather be, but some of them are not. We've grown up around them somewhat. I think I introduced the county attorney right there. Our EMA director, Patrice
Kuziaski.
Y'all can say that if you want to. Kuziaski. If you see how it's spelled, it's not. You don't say it like it's spelled. And then I'd like to introduce the county commission. District 1 over here is Jeff Brown, And Jeff Brown, you've been in office since 1942 or something. He has been in office a long time, but he represents the northern part of it, where, by the way, the county seat of this county is in Asheville, Alabama. This is the second county seat that was voted on later on, so our administrative offices are at Asheville. District 2 Commissioner is, I believe it's yours, District 2, Ricky Parker. It's gonna be easy, I'll just go down the list here. Ricky Parker is District 2, Tommy Bowers is District 3, and this gentleman on the end down here is one of the best politicians in the entire county, because he actually, Bob Mize, he took over the district I used to have, and I'd like to say the roads are almost all paved down there now, and because I couldn't do it, but Bob did. And so we got a good commission. We work together. We're full of mischief in some ways, but when it gets down to doing business, all you got to do is look at our books, and you can measure. We get things done. We know what we have to do, and we try to work at it really hard. Did I miss any elected officials back here? Okay. If I did, you must not be local, because you would be looking for recognition. With that, there's been some question about, will this meeting be open? Yes, it will. It's open now. The meeting has been called to order as of right then. There are some things that we are not supposed to talk about to the general public, one of them being an economic development project, and Don Smith sitting right here, he's our economic development coordinator for the county, and you wouldn't want to tell everybody when you're trying to move a shopping center over here, or all the developers over here would want you to move the shopping center over there. So that's one thing allowed behind closed doors. Another thing, though, is possible litigation. Now that covers two directions. That's possible litigation that the county might have against someone. It's possible litigation that someone might have against the county. We're going into executive session so our attorney can explain to us the possible liabilities of possible litigation that might come upon this county commission. And so he's going to make sure we all understand what those things may be. It's not to try to hide anything from you, but he needs to tell us this and this and this could happen, and y'all need to know about it before you vote. So that happens first. After that, we come back out, and you got one or two resolutions.
One.
We have one resolution. It's quite long, and you've seen resolutions, whereas, therefore. And that resolution literally opens the door for St. Clair County to legally get on that property, to legally put the fire out, and to legally expend government money on private property. And those hoops had to be jumped through because they were illegal until our Senator Bale worked with some people in Montgomery and with ADM and other people, and our county attorney worked hard. And we feel confident, unless he tells us in there our liabilities are so bad, we come out here and all the commissioners go home. But right now, we feel confident that we can take action. Now, how quick will that action be taken? I know that's going to be a question asked right off the bat. Our county engineer's already worked on some, we call them requests for proposal. He's got some quotes. We will, hopefully Thursday, after we move through this, we'll have a work session Thursday where we discuss what's the next step that we do. In the meantime, our county engineer will get us some ideas of who can put the fire out, how they put it out, what's the possibility of this liability situation. In other words, if you just go over there and you spray a bunch of water on it, let's say we've had people fly over with a helicopter and drop water like they do out west on the fire. I thought that was a pretty good idea. Well, we were told by other powers, if you do that and you create a water quality problem, then it's the county's. It's yours if you live in St. Clair County. Those of it's in Jefferson, it would be Jefferson's. And Commissioner Knight knows how you work through these things, and so we don't want that liability on the county if we can avoid it. And so that question had to be answered. Can we just start dumping water on it? Not sure. There's not even a silt fence around this place. If you put in a parking lot for a Dollar General, you got to put a silt fence up. But for some reason, I think things this size, especially of a burning dump, have fallen through the cracks. And so I think some good things will come out of what we're doing. We're going to be able to tighten up some rules and regulations, and you're going to see more definition of what the responsibility of a county is and what the authority of a county commission is. So we'll go through that process. The other issue, of course, was the air quality. Right now, has anybody got a monitor close to their house? There's several of them had them, and I saw a couple of those. And those monitors literally just measure the particulate matter in the air. They don't tell you what that particulate matter is. We want to know that because that leads into our liability. If we start putting the fire out and it creates particulate matter that's dangerous to you, we want to be sure that you, the citizens of St. Clair County, are protected from liability by trying to do something right. So that's the process that we're working through. We think that I think, Dan, you told me that by Friday you'd have 17 RFPs. I'm just making a joke. You won't have.
No, sir.
So he's an engineer. I'm going to get a direct answer from him. He seldom bites on the little funny things. They're probably not really that funny. But Dan will have us some requests for proposal on some people that can put this fire out quickly, as quick as possible. He knows it, and he's already got some. He's already got some he can look at, but he's not going to share them because you don't want a race between people that says I can put the fire out, and they come over there with a pump on the back of their truck that they normally wash cars with on the side. We want somebody in there that can put this fire out in a safe manner and in a fast manner. So Dan can get those together fairly quickly. Like I said, there's some burning around this nation now. There's 3,700 something counties, and I have never had an original idea as chairman. And I'm going into my 17th year as chairman. I've stolen every idea I have from one of those 3,700 counties because somebody's done this. And they've done it with something almost just like this. You just got to get the word out and see where it is. And Dan's good about following up on those things. So that'll be the first direction we go. It's the fastest route. We can find somebody really fast that does that. So with that, having called us to order, let me get back to my agenda here so I can get on track. The commission has seen the agenda, and I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second. No discussion on an emergency meeting because you cannot add to or take away from this agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed no. Motion carries. Under this agenda is new business, and I'll read what it says. Consider entering into executive session to discuss actions that could lead to litigation. Consider adopting to declare the existence of emergency conditions. Consider any other further and different actions to address the emergency conditions as delineated by our attorney, and then we will adjourn this meeting. When we adjourn this meeting, I will stay as long as any of you want to stay. We'll stay right here, or you can buy me lunch over at the steakhouse or whatever works for you, but I will be here. And commissioners, by law, these crazy laws, if me and these two guys go to lunch, we can't talk about this. It's illegal. It's against the law. It's a violation of the open meetings law. So we got to go down there and talk about fishing, which Jeff's pretty good at. And I don't know what Ricky talks about. He's not really good at anything. But we'll think of something. He's a retired policeman. Me and him can think of something, I'm sure. But that's the process we'll work through. If you want to stay here and talk to people, we will. We just will not be able to deliberate. We can chat all you want to. You can corner a commissioner and give them a hard time. Give them a rough time. That kind of beefs them up and gets them used to these things. But it's not the first hard question you've had to answer, is it, Jeff?
Not really.
Okay. And with that, moving on into new business, consider entering into an executive session to discuss actions which could lead to litigation. And I guess we'll go in that room. Is that where you want to go?
Yes, sir. I hear make a motion.
Have a motion to go into.
Chairman, I've got to say a couple things.
Yes, sir.
before we go into executive session.
Okay.
First of all, I want to speak to the authority that the commission has to take actions consistent with what we're going to contemplate today. I will reserve those comments until after we get back from executive session. One of the reasons that we can go into executive session is to discuss actions that the commission might take that could possibly lead to litigation for the county. I need that reasoning to be set forth in the minutes. I anticipate we will be in executive session for roughly 15 minutes, and that will need to be in the minutes as well. And as you can tell from the agenda, I do anticipate you taking action at the conclusion of the executive session, which I need that in the minutes as well. By law, I am required to provide a letter that will be part of the minutes that articulate the reasoning for which we will go into executive session and give my opinion that the reasons are consistent with those set forth in the open meetings law. I have that with me today, and I'll provide it to Ms. Phillips as we leave here. With that, I need a motion and a second and a roll call vote in order to go into executive session.
And a roll call vote.
Yes.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second. And I don't think there's discussion, and yeah, there is, you can have discussion on executive session. Is there any discussion? No discussion? All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye. Oh, roll call vote. Roll call vote. District 1?
Aye.
District 2?
Aye.
District 3?
Aye.
District 4?
Aye.
And the ayes have it, and the motion carries for us to go into executive session, and we'll be back within the 15 minutes. And I won't say much, because they know I'll last longer than 15 minutes. All right.
It's the list. Did everyone sign in on the list? Is there someone here that did not? Has everybody signed that?
Doing something because it is not. Hey, when you're fishing that hard, you gotta keep a low depth. I just can't go. Yes, forward.
Susie, look at number 2. See if you need to add resolution. Okay.
We
that's
saw
good.
it already. I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
That's
We
good.
did that in about 30 minutes this morning before we headed over here. It
See
was
there?
it was
I
on the
fixed
fly.
I fixed it.
We'll fix it when we get back. I apologize.
I
Hey, make sure your barn door's closed.
know it, gotta be sure. Okay. Who does it? Okay, yep, I got you. Oh my Lord, there's 2 of them. We're waiting on our county attorney to come back in. He works by the hour, so he may be a while. Sir? No. You better.
Hey, we might have to.
I emptied a restaurant here. We're not in session, so I emptied a restaurant here back in the summer. I didn't mean to, but I was filming the scenery of the lake off the deck of the restaurant, and the place was packed out on this deck. And I said, if there's anybody here with somebody you're not supposed to be, please let me know. I'm putting this on Facebook. Well, half of them got up and left. So I'm just wanting you to know we're filming y'all. Just. Sir, yeah.
No, but the lady was with him did one.
The lady that was with me had to look. You didn't have to say that.
It just felt right.
It well felt right. That's good. Oh, we're still missing one.
He doesn't work for that one.
Did he get the landfill flu? We used to have a commissioner got the Wolf Creek flu as well. We voted to turn it over to you. While you were gone. Okay, I thank you for your patience, and I'll call the meeting back to order out of executive session. And y'all can duly note that in the minutes. And the next item on our agenda is to consider adopting a resolution to declare the existence of emergency conditions. Entertain a motion to adopt that resolution.
So made.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second. In the way of discussion, I'm going to turn it over to the county attorney to discuss that resolution for us. It's pretty lengthy, but it's
Thank you, Chairman. Given the circumstances, I think it's probably best that I read the resolution in totality and then I'll speak to it.
yes, sir.
This resolution is referred to as a declaration of the existence of emergency conditions in St. Clair County, Alabama. Whereas on January 3rd, 2023, the County Commission of St. Clair County, Alabama found that due to a landfill fire located at 1317 Annie Lee Road, Trussville, Alabama, a condition of extreme peril to life and property exists in St. Clair County. And whereas the fire exists primarily, if not entirely, underground, creating additional and unknown risks to responders. And whereas St. Clair County does not have firefighting authority, resources, or expertise. However, St. Clair County recognizes the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens in the vicinity of the fire is jeopardized. And whereas St. Clair County recognizes the city of Moody, the city of Trussville, the Alabama Forestry Commission, and various other municipal and volunteer departments and agencies have put forth tremendous effort to preserve life and property, and their service and dedication is lauded by St. Clair County and appreciated by the citizens and residents in the vicinity of the fire. And whereas, pursuant to the above and in accordance with state law, the County Commission declares the fire to be a threat to person and property and declares that emergency conditions presently exist as a direct and proximate result thereof. And whereas it has now been found that local resources are unable to cope with the effects of said emergency or effectively mitigate the ongoing conditions giving rise to the same. Now therefore it is hereby declared, as set forth above, emergency conditions exist in St. Clair County as a result of the ongoing landfill fire which continues to jeopardize the lives and property of those living in the vicinity of the same. It is further resolved in order that a copy of this declaration be forwarded to the Governor of Alabama through the State Director of Emergency Management with a request for state and federal assistance, and that she proclaim a state of emergency to exist in St. Clair County. Be it further resolved that the County EMA Director is hereby designated as the authorized representative for coordination, and the County Chairman is hereby authorized to execute for and on behalf of St. Clair County, a public entity established under the laws of the state of Alabama, this declaration, and to solicit the assistance and intervention of state and federal agencies under the Disaster Relief Act, or as may otherwise be available from the President's Disaster Relief Fund, or any state funds available for mitigation of the emergency conditions described herein. It is further resolved that without assuming responsibility for the mitigation of the fire, St. Clair County will provide administrative or professional support as it has available and as may be required for the purposes of administering and or coordinating state and federal assistance, resolved and declared as set forth above by the St. Clair County Commission on this day, 2023. If I may, Chairman, I want to speak for a moment to the authority that St. Clair County has and the responsibility that these agencies have as it relates to this type of situation. One of the challenges that became immediately apparent is who's responsible to put this fire out. It was quickly determined that the fire is located outside of any corporate limits, Moody's, Trussville's, or otherwise. And I appreciate both of those governments being represented here today. James Morkey is here. He's the fire marshal for the city of Moody, and Mayor Choate is here on behalf of the city of Trussville. And I've been in significant contact with each of these individuals over the past several weeks, as well as others from these areas. Those two organizations, Moody and Trussville, have worked tremendously to ensure that this fire did not go beyond the scope that it is now. The Alabama Forestry Commission was on the scene very quickly to create a perimeter so as to try to contain this fire in the area that it was located. The county engineer was involved immediately to try to provide the support that he can provide, and as you may notice, we're going to refer to the county engineer a lot in these next few minutes because St. Clair County doesn't have a fire marshal. The county doesn't have the authority to fight fire. That's not something the state has provided to us. That being said, we have intended and have dedicated resources to try to mitigate these issues for our citizens as is in our authority. And lastly, our EMA director, Patrice Kuziaski, has been involved from the inception of this issue to try to do her best and our best to ensure and continue and protect the health and safety of the citizens of St. Clair County in this area. Early on, it was mentioned, I believe through a state agency, that St. Clair County should go out and pursuant to its zoning laws, shut this place down. Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, however the public may see this, St. Clair County, along with the vast majority of other counties in the state of Alabama, doesn't have zoning authority. We don't permit landfills. We don't regulate environmental laws. These are all things done by other agencies, and simply put, we don't have the authority to do any of those things. As such, we did, though, begin immediately coordinating with the agencies that were working on this, as I've already mentioned, engaged our county engineer and our EMA director to move forward with trying to find a solution to this problem. On December 29th, the Alabama Department of Environmental Management issued a press release that indicated that they were going to follow the county's lead as it relates to how to best mitigate these issues. As a result, this county commission called this emergency meeting, whereas I'm going to ask that they adopt the resolution and declaration that I have just read, declaring that emergency conditions exist and soliciting the state and federal funds necessary to put this out. And I want to reiterate that point. In order to effectively and correctly address this situation, it will be incumbent upon the state of Alabama and or the federal government to provide funds necessary to address this particular emergency. These funds are going to need to come from a place other than our local governments. And finally, when we leave this meeting today, I don't think we have the answer. As the chairman alluded to, our county engineer has already been working on what is the right answer, along with the Fire Marshal James Mulkey and our EMA director. What's the right answer to mitigate this situation? What's the answer that's going to cause the least exposure, that's going to effectively put this out in the quickest manner without creating any unintended ancillary detrimental effects? We will continue that. We will continue that investigation, and the county engineer will continue that investigation moving forward. Hopefully, in the next short period of time, our county engineer, along with the help of the other people that I have mentioned, will be able to bring back to you a recommendation for how this emergency can be mitigated. And at that time, it will be my recommendation that we go back to Senator Bell, who has been very instrumental in assisting us in this process so far, along with our Representative Hill and Representative Garrett out of the Trussville area, go back to the state of Alabama with what we believe to be a viable plan and ask them for assistance in executing that plan and funding that plan. That is, I believe, where we are currently and where I anticipate us going over the next short period of time. With that, Commission, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. That's all that I've got.
Do the commissioners have any questions of the attorney? Thank you, James. And you mentioned Dan in this process, and he'll be right in the middle, and has already been, as I mentioned before.
Call IFB 2. Call IFB 3.